Instagram on part one. Now we're going to talk about your hashtags and all the things you need to know about the extra sort of behind the scenes of all these social media platforms. We're sticking to Instagram for now because it is going to be your portal to the world for the time being. TikTok is a whole different animal, and at the same time, the content is going to be slightly different. So what we're going to do now is you've got the brand in part one. What we're going to focus on now is basically what's going to happen to your Instagram once you start posting. Now, number one, you're going to have to create your basic hashtags. So your basic hashtags being, myself being in Bali, it would be Bali, Bali Island, it would be restaurant, it would be food, it would be Bali food, it would be all the successful hashtags, for example, that you could look into that your competitors will already have. So if you're opening up a beachside restaurant, you're not going to go and say five-star hotel in your, or luxury living in your Instagram content. You're going to use beach, Bali, surfing, whatever it is that you could possibly dig up that's related to your business. So what we're going to do is come up with a bunch of hashtags, and you may want to make your own. It could be Joe's Shack by the beach. That's your content. That's your restaurant. So you have to come up with some on your own, and then you have to borrow some hashtags and things from the local restaurants that already exist because you're competing against them. Now they know this. Everybody knows this. Everybody knows that a coffee shop is going to steal those hashtags. The only thing you're hoping for is that your content, the way it looks and the way it feels, and your brand that we've developed over stage 1, 2, are now going to transfer into part 3, that you've got your hashtags. You've got information that is going to identify you to others. And this is where Instagram is a fun tool to use, but you got location services on there, so you have to figure out where you are. If you're in Bali, don't hashtag, New York. Now, if you're running an ad and you want to run an ad to Australians, which is the biggest client for Indonesia, and right now it's huge in the Russian market, you may want to explore the Russian aspect of it and the Aussie aspect of it, because right now there's a massive influx of foreigners from Russia because of the situation. So this part of my video may be dated in years, but right now there was a problem in Russia, so we want to take advantage of that. And this will apply to future hashtags, future communication through social media as well. So we're going to focus on Australia being close to Bali, and the biggest client for Bali is the Australians. So if you're in New York, you can of course target the Manhattan people because they're going to be coming in your area and your neck of the woods. But we're going to focus on Bali and Australia. So we want these beer-drinking Australians to come in and spend their money in my restaurant or get their hair or nail done in my little shop, in my salon. And this is where you're going to then follow up with these hashtags from people that already exist in this business. So look at the most successful businesses in your area. Look at the most successful coffee shops. See what they're doing. Of course, this goes into a whole other topic of setting up your business, but we're going to cover all that later. So right now, you've got your business, you've got your brand, you've got your content, and now you got to sell that to the world. So look at the successful people around you, just like you always want to hire smart people that maybe know social media. So you don't have a social media expert, you want to get one, hire one, see what they have to say. And of course, you may or may not have a budget. That's something you have to disclose to your social media manager. Listen, I'm going to pay you, but I don't have any money for you, so you have to do what I'm telling you. This is what I need. Can you deliver? So this is where we're going to come in with the hashtags. Basically, you are going to source your own hashtags, your own information from successful people around you, and you're going to copy them with a difference because you are your own identity. And just like you can't compete against McDonald's on the same platform because they're the biggest in that segment, we're not going to go and open up a restaurant right next to McDonald's. Now, you may want to, that's up to you, but we're not going to compete against them directly. So you got your content, you got your social media, and what you want to say is very important in your social media. So the content, while very few people read the content, I read it because I want to see what people are commenting. I want to see what people are saying about you and what you are saying to people, how you are communicating with people, and are you being friendly on your social media. So let's get into the hashtags. You want the best burger, the beachside. You want to attract surfers, depending on where your restaurant is. So this is where we have to get into what you're going to tell people and how you're going to attract them. So you've got your brand, you've got your whole content, and now you've got to reel them in. So we've gone fishing, and when you post the best coffee shop in Bali, or the best coffee, or the best hair salon, you better make sure you're competing on the same level. Otherwise, you would have to say the best cookies versus the best coffee. So you may have really good coffee, but your specialty is baking cookies. So you want to slightly differentiate yourself from the coffee shop next door that really does have an amazing cup of coffee. So what we're going to do is focus on those little things, depending on what is in your content. So you've got the best croissant, you've got the best cheese croissant, you've got the best chocolate-filled croissant, or whatever it is that you do. You may do the best hair coloring there is on the face of this planet, and you may be the most creative hairstylist out there, but this is where you have to get creative in your wording. So the best hair salon in Bali, maybe or maybe not, be taken. You may have to come up with Joe's hair salon, whatever it is that you have to do. So look at your competition and then develop some custom hashtags that are going to be for you, and you're going to use that constantly, because you're going to use that throughout your other social media platforms like Facebook and TikTok and so on and so forth. It could be your LinkedIn profile. It could be a number of things. Now, LinkedIn may not apply to your restaurant, but it would apply to your restaurant if you're supplying cookies for somebody else as well. So it becomes a business. Anyway, right now, we've got your logo, we've got your content. Now you got to tell the world what you really want to tell them. And in your little blurb, you have to explain to everybody what you are good at. And this is where the hashtags come in. So be creative with your hashtags, and at the same time, copy people with the good hashtags. And check their content, see what they're doing. Because the world is all about evolution and not revolution. You're going to evolve your business into something, and over time you may change that business. You may start off with the best croissants and find out that your cookies are the #1 seller, so you've got to focus in different directions in your business. So this is what your hashtags and your content below, sort of below the images, is going to portray to your potential clients. So this is what we're going to do today. When you start writing these, you've got to be very, very knowledgeable in what you're saying, because you don't want to look like a fool in your content. If you have the best ribs in town, you better tell everybody you've got the best ribs in town. Now, in Indonesia, the best ribs in town do not appeal very well to the Muslim population. So you may not want to open up a best ribs in town restaurant, for example, but cookies will be awesome. So you got to look at your market, and you got to look at who's coming. If our major influx is Russians and Australians coming to our coffee shop, we want to make sure they've got beer and they've got their burgers and they've got their meat and potatoes, because that's their market. If you're opening up a coffee shop and you know of certain specialties that people will like, then you better find out what that is according to what the market segment is. When Indonesia and Bali had a huge influx of Korean and Chinese, the markets adapted to it. So this is where your hashtag is going to come in. And don't forget, there are many, many different nationalities and ethnic groups in Bali, just like it could be in your city. So you have to also look at who's coming to your restaurant and who's going to be sitting down at that table and how you're going to cater to them. So this is where your hashtags come in. So don't just focus on one segment of the market. Really take a broad look at everything. And you may want to hire someone for a month or two and tell them you're doing this part-time, but you want to have this set up perfectly, and then you can do it by yourself. And you will have to spend money. It's either on your equipment, somebody else's equipment, influencers, marketers, whatever it is that you want to do. But when you launch that business, which is what my content is basically set on, down pat. Thank you.